you're ready, you tell me when we'll roll. Yeah, so. Okay, let's roll.
All right, guys, here we go. Sound speed. Half speeds. Give the speeds.
We are rolling.
My voice is an unusual voice. They call people like us stylists, people that don't sound like other people. And sometimes you like that, and sometimes you don't. You know, but you know that voice when you hear it. You know, 9 to 5? Well, let's do a little bit of that
one. Dolly Parton was inevitable.
Tumble out of bed and I stumble to the kitchen, pour myself a cup of ambition and yawn and stretch and try to come to life. Jump in the shower and the blood starts pumping. Out on the streets, the traffic starts jumping with folks like me on the job from 9 to 5.
She said it in interviews with me that she was dirt poor, a family of 12, you know.
I'd let Mom sleep in, and I'd get up with Daddy and pack his lunch, and me and Daddy'd talk. And to me, those hours were precious, and so it was special.
She's as real as dirt, but she's the most extraordinary dirt.
It was her songwriting that really made her stand out.
You have to be twice as good as a man, you know, to make it in country music if you're a woman.
Jolene, 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 I'm begging of you, please don't take my man.
I came up with my own little lick, my own little sound on my little guitar.
Items in the stream, that is what we are. No one excuse me, Kitty, how can we be wrong?
Well, I always had a great time with Kenny, and singing that song with Kenny was especially great.
From one lover to another.
Whatever she puts her mind to, she will do. And she won't just do it well, she'll do it fantastically. She first turned down the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because she said, I'm a country star.
Then when they insisted I go into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I thought, well, I gotta earn my keep, so I am gonna do that rock album I used to dream about. I never give up on any dream. I was really challenging myself. I just felt real strong that I need to get up and write something. I wanted it to be good. I didn't want to just scream and squall. When I would go to sing a note, I'd think, I wonder if I can hit that. And then I'd think, of course you can hit that. I wanted to be a rock and roll star for the moment. I wanted them to say, man, that's good.
I've paid my dues, time after time. I've done my sentence, but committed no crime.
It's a new dawn, it's a new day, and Dolly is launching her brand new double album, Rockstar.
I've had my shifts and kicked in my face, but I've come through.
The idea to do a rock album was totally because of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
She first turned down the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then the public, just because we love her so much, worldwide said, it's okay, Dolly. Go be, you can be in the, we'll let you.
So I show up at her house. Toward the end of the visit, she just kind of blurted out, well, I'm about to do a rock album and I want you to produce it to me, you know. So I'm, you know, so inside I'm like, yes. This is so, you know, I can't even think. I all of a sudden, you know, it's like a bomb goes off and my ears are ringing. I don't hear any more of the conversation. You know, I'm just thinking, wow.
Well, I actually had finished my whole album. We had done 30 songs, and I woke up in the wee hours, and I just felt real strong that I need to get up and write something.
Liar, liar, the world's on fire. What you gonna do when it all burns down? Fire, fire, burning higher. We still got time to turn it all around.
This melody just leapt into my head. Light, light, the world's on fire. What you gonna do when it all burns down? Fire, fire, burning high. Still got time to turn it all around. And it just felt like classic rock to me.
About us. When did we lose? In God we trust. God Almighty, what we gonna do if God ain't listening and we're deaf too?
Well, I wanted to write the song just about the situation, that we're all in, all around the world, famine, sickness, just people just having just human suffering. But I have a hopeful heart, and I'm always looking for better times. So, of course, I'm not going to write a song and let it all be about darkness.
Can we rise above?
The release.
Show some love. Do we just give up or make a change?
First draft lyrics there. We're literally making it up.
Do we all too well? We've all been through hell. Time to ring the bell in heaven's name. Can we rise above? Can we show some love? Do we just give up or make a change? We know all too well we've all been through hell. Time to break the spell in heaven's name. Liar, liar, the world's on fire. What you gonna do when it all burns down?
It's great when you have a little hook, like the liar, liar, your pants on fire. It's like truth isn't a lie anymore, and the lie is the truth, and it's hard to know. It's like one of the lines in my song is, what is truth? Have we all lost sight of common decency, of wrong and right?
Let's make a stand. What you gonna do when it all burns down? Let's lend a hand. Still got time to turn it all around.
So I was just thinking, let's get it together. Let's lift up, rise up, and try to make a change.
Liar, liar, the world's on fire. What you gonna do when it all burns down?
Over the years, Dolly's made her name as a country music star. But way back in the late 1950s, at a very tender age, she actually started out in rock and roll with her first single, Puppy Love.
I was 10 or 11 years old when I wrote and recorded Puppy Love.
But puppy love, they all call it puppy love. I'm old enough now to kiss and hug, and I like it's puppy love.
A rockabilly song that my Uncle Billy, my rockin' Uncle Billy, and I wrote.
Puppy love, they all call it puppy love.
It was just my first start, my first real record that was on vinyl, and so that'll always be special.
Uncle Bill and Dolly formed a kind of a duo act. She would do songs, with his band all around East Tennessee. They would do schoolhouses and community picnics and stuff that was around the mountains around there.
The Blue Ridge and Great Smoky Mountains. Awesome in their grandeur, inspiring in their beauty, the land of the sky.
Her family, they're mountain people. And Dolly calls that Smoky Mountain sound her Smoky Mountain DNA, And it is a thing. There's definitely in those Appalachian hills over, there's just a soul and a heart to that music that's been passed down generationally,
Sitting on the front porch on a summer afternoon, in a straight back chair on two legs, leaned against the wall. Watched the kids playing with June bugs on a string, and chased the glowing fireflies when evening shadows fall. In my Tennessee mountain home, life is as peaceful as a baby's sigh. In my Tennessee mountain home, crickets sing in the fields nearby.
I grew up in the Great Smoky Mountains of East Tennessee, and I grew up on a farm. I grew up in a family of 12 children. There's 6 girls and 6 boys in our family. And when Mama was 35 and Daddy was 37, they already had 12 children. My daddy worked like a dog. My daddy was a hard worker and worked from sun up to sundown. And I used to get up with Daddy when I was in school, high school especially. And Daddy had to get up like 4 o'clock to go to work on his job. And I'd let Mama sleep in, and I'd get up with Daddy and pack his lunch, and me and Daddy'd talk. And, you know, he thought I was so funny, and I'd tell stories and jokes, and, you know, and we just had a good time talking. So I got to know my daddy because we're both early birds, you know, so I had a connection with Daddy that a lot of the other kids didn't. He worked so hard, we didn't get to have time to really know him. So to me, those days are, you know, those hours were precious. Of course, my mama was like me. She never shut up. She could just tell you anything and make it sound good. She could cook anything and make it taste good. And she could sew anything, make it look pretty good, even if it was made from a bunch of scraps.
Back through the years, I go wandering once again, back to the seasons of my youth, and I recall a box of rags someone gave us, and how my mama put the rags to use. There were rags of many colors, but every piece was small, and I didn't have a coat, and it was way down in the fall. Mama sewed the rags together, so in every piece with love she made my coat of many colors that I was so proud of.
I think what drives that talent for her is just growing up in poverty and isolation, and, you know, not having the distractions.
I always say that I got my creativity and my spirituality mostly from Mama's people, because we're all musical. Everybody plays, sings.
You know, there was music around, and her whole family, all those kids can sing like birds. They're all fabulous.
If you say goodbye to me, babe, you're gonna break my mind. If you say goodbye to me, babe, you're gonna break my mind.
Thank you, Dolly. That is just beautiful. We got a shot of your mama and your grandpa were singing.
They wanted to come and see the show.
So she always says that she got through high school by the skin of her teeth. I mean, she was extremely bright, extremely smart, but not focused and not wanting to sit still at a school desk all day. But she did graduate. She did graduate. And that was an accomplishment in that family. She was the first person in her family to graduate high school.
Nashville cats play clean as country water. Nashville cats play wild as Mountain Dew.
The story I've always heard is that she graduated from high school and the next day got on a bus for Nashville.
Nashville cats get work before they're two.
I wanted to be a star. I didn't know what all that meant, but I wanted to travel. I wanted to be rich. I wanted to do stuff. I wanted fancy clothes and all the stuff that a kid wants, I guess, especially when you've never had any. But I just really believed that I could do it. I just thought my talent could take me there.
Nashville, Tennessee, the country and western music capital of America. Where once mountain people sang their songs in isolated valleys, there now stands a music kingdom resting on a booming entertainment and recording industry that tops $500 million.
When I first moved to Nashville in 1964, I was doing dirty laundry because I was in such a hurry to move to Nashville from my home in East Tennessee, which was 200 miles away. I'd never been in a laundromat before. Walked outside, there was this good-looking man that drove by the wishy-washy laundromat, and he pulled over to the side. So we started talking, and we married 2 years later, and we've been married for 32 years now.
When she came to the big city, I don't think she was quite prepared for how tough it was going to be. When you first come to Nashville, the challenge is to get somebody to hear you. And so what you do, like any young writer would do, you go, in those days especially, you could go up to record companies and publishing company offices and go in and see somebody.
Nothing happened for me. I was there for a very short period of time. I imagine she hit a kind of a wall of the old boys network.
As it was tough, and it's still tough. And it's even tougher if you're a woman. I mean, you have to be twice as good as a man, to make it in country music if you're a woman. And even then, especially then, because there were no women. There was Patsy Cline and Kitty Wells, and that's it.
It took Dolly 2 years to get a deal. In 1966, she cut her first Nashville single. It wasn't written by Dolly, but it was a tongue-in-cheek comment on her appearance that gave Dolly her first top 30 country hit.
Dolly, you also have recorded another song recently, and it's a beautiful song. Why don't you go sing Dumb Blonde? I don't think
what?
that... no, that's not the way I should put it. Wait a minute now, I'll think of it. Dolly Parton recorded a song called Dumb Blonde.
Yeah.
She is about to sing it for you.
Thank you, Bobby.
Right now, Dolly.
Don't try to cry your way out of this, and don't try to lie, or I'll catch you in it. Don't try to make me feel sorry for you. Just because I'm blonde, don't think I'm dumb, 'cause this dumb blonde ain't nobody's fool.
It's kind of perfect, isn't it? Because she always knew that people were going to look at her like a dumb blonde. And Dolly is anything but a dumb blonde, so she should be the one to sing it. She put it in its proper place.
What Dumb Blonde did for Dolly was give her the status of new girl in town and a chance to appear on one of country music's most popular TV shows.
No, we can't control the evil that surrounds us. But as long as we're together, that's enough.
I was with the Porter Wagoner Show, and Porter gave me my first big break in the bigger picture. He had the #1 syndicated television show at that time. Porter called me in and offered me the job. I was just getting my career going, but that was too good of a deal not to take.
Direct from Nashville, Tennessee, here's the Porter Wagoner Show, starring Porter Wagoner, Dolly Parton.
I told him that I'd stay for 5 years and that I needed to get out. I didn't want to just be known as somebody's girl singer, because I had my own career.
By the time Dolly joins the show in the late 60s, Porter's hits are sort of fading away. Dolly's, on the other hand, are going up.
I can see you're disappointed by the way you look at me.
Certainly that time with Porter was a huge stepping stone for her, but what can I say? Dolly Parton was inevitable.
She was writing really kind of deep songs, quite dark songs.
My mistakes are no worse than yours, just because I'm a woman.
This is in the 1960s. She's writing songs. They're radio-friendly records, but the themes contained within them, the storytelling that she brings to her audience is revolutionary.
That idea of writing from those uniquely female perspectives is part of what makes her a genius.
The songs are just pouring out of her.
We kind of had our little bouts because I was stubborn and he was stubborn. It was his show, no doubt. But I would try to, to say, well, let's do this, let's do that. No, there wasn't nothing going to happen except what Porter wanted to happen.
You just can't stand to see me happy. Seems you hurt me all you can.
We had kind of one of those love-hate relationships. I admired and loved Porter, learned a lot from him. But, we just were like fire and, water. And so I just knew that I needed to be going. My heart was just saying, go, you got to go, and you got to go now.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
By 1973, Dolly had been on the Porter Wagoner Show for 5 years. She was itching for change, and she had a song and a guitar riff that would make a difference.
It has the alternating thumb. It has the Chet Atkins, Merle Travis thing. You have to keep it going. It's that little turnaround, that I like. And at speed, what's so cool about the original record is pretty quick. It's one of those licks, if you ever stumble, you're down.
I think this is possibly the most different tune and sort of the different sound of any of the songs that you've ever written.
Well, it is kind of different. It kind of makes you think of an old folk song that's kind of got a little heavier, up-to-date beat, but it's something I hope the people like.
I'm sure that they will. And let's listen as she does one, and I think you'll really like this. Listen close to it. It's called Jolene.
That record stands the test of time, and everybody's covered that record. I've never heard anything touch the original.
Jolene, 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 I'm begging of you, please don't take my man. Jolene, 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 please don't take him just because you can.
When I listened to that record, the original record, and it had that gut string guitar lick, boy, it's so haunting. And her voice is so crisp, and she's doing those little turns.
Like summer rain, and I cannot compete with you, Jolene.
It's almost like she's crying. It's almost like her voice is weak and fluttery from the vulnerability.
When he calls your name, Jolene. And I can easily understand how you could easily take my man, but you don't know what he means to me, Jolene.
And she's great with a guitar in her hands, too, or a piano. She can write. And that's Dolly's lick, by the way, on Jolene. Came straight out of her head and out of her hands, and that's her magic.
I came up with my own little lick, my own little sound on my little guitar. In fact, I remember when I was working with Porter, he was trying to get that lick. He was trying to play it because he was trying to learn to play the guitar, and because he wanted to play it for the band, when in the session. So he kept trying that lick, and it wasn't the right one, and I just about had it, and so I just grabbed the guitar And I said, we was trying to play it for the band, and he wasn't even nowhere close, and I wasn't going to let it not be, you know, what it was. So I got the guitar from Porter, and he got so mad at me, he wanted to kill me. He said, "You embarrassed me in front of the musicians." I said, "Well, you embarrassed me trying to play that lick." So it was like one of those kind of things. Me and Porter used to have our little bickering things now and then, and that was one of the biggest fights we ever had, of him screwing up my lick on Jolene.
Jolene took a while to grow into a hit, but Dolly had put down her marker as a songwriter who could write beyond the confines of country.
There's some artists that I think are in a complete category all by themselves. And they're beyond category. And that's Dolly.
And a song like Jolene is a miracle, because whatever generation hears it, it speaks to them.
She has such an overt simplicity to her writing. She's not usually wrapped in layers. You know, she puts it right out there. It's truth. You know, she sings a lot of truth. She can be fancy and you know, clever with her songwriting, but I think her biggest songs are just truth. Jolene, Don't Take My Man. I mean, that's a lot of vulnerability, and I think everybody just gets that. I Will Always Love You. Such a simple, pure lyric.
I was with the Porter Wagoner Show for years. I wanted to go. Porter didn't know I was, you know, I wrote so many songs. He didn't know a whole lot of stuff about me. And so 5 years came and went, and we were having a lot of trouble. So I thought, well, there's no point in talking to him. He's never going to listen. So I went home and I wrote that song, I Will Always Love You, to say, look, I love you. I appreciate you. I will always love you. But I need to go. So I sat down and I just told Porter, I said, look, I'm not even going to talk to you about this anymore. I've written something I want you to hear. And so I started to sing it.
If I should stay, I would only be in your way, so I'll go. But I know I'll think of you each step of the way.
Porter's tears started rolling down, and then after I finished, he said, that's the best song you ever wrote, and you can go if I can produce that song. So, so he did, and it was great, and that kind of was what melted all that, you know, all that other stuff, although he did sue me after I left, but that's beside the point. But at least it got me out of there.
It was a few months back, they found the original cassette tape that she had I Will Always Love You on. And Dolly thought, well, this is collectible. This is my, you know, this is a, and right next to it on the tape is Jolene, which she says, I think I must have written them on the same day. And, which is amazing, you know, that those two songs, those two gigantic songs were both written out of the same brain on the same day.
I Will Always Love You was a country #1 and came to the attention of the King himself.
So it had become a big song, a favorite song, and then Elvis loved the song I heard, and he wanted to record it. So Colonel Tom Parker, they had invited me down to the session. The day before the session, Colonel Tom Parker, who was Elvis's manager, and he called and said, we don't record anything with Elvis unless we get the publishing. And I said, well, you can't have the publishing. That's in my publishing company. He said, well, we have to have half of it. I said, no, you can't have half of it either. So anyway, it kind of went down that way, and so he said, well, then we can't record it. And I was heartbroken because I wanted to, you know, I just wanted to hear Elvis sing it. And Priscilla told me years later that Elvis was singing that to her when they walked down the steps when they got divorced, that he was singing I Will Always Love You. After that happened with Elvis not being able to record my songs sometime after that, I wrote the song I Dreamed About Elvis. And it's one of my favorites in the rock album. And so I thought, I'm going to sing I Will Always Love You with Elvis, even if I have to dream about Elvis to do it.
Last night I dreamed of Elvis. He was standing in the light, looking radiant and beautiful, just like he did in life. I said, E, it's good to see you look so healthy and at peace. He said,
You know, I'm really happy here. How's things in Tennessee?
So I wrote this song and told a story about I dreamed of Elvis, and he was standing in the light, and I just relived that whole story. And he says, I always wanted to sing one of your songs, you know, the one about true love, but the Colonel screwed that up.
The Colonel screwed that up.
well, he sure did. But after all, this is my dream. It would be a dream come true if maybe you could sing it now and let me sing with you. And we say, woke up. I dreamed about Elvis, dreamed about Elvis, dreamed about Elvis last night. We sang blue suede shoes and love me too.
Back in 1974, after things didn't work out with Elvis, Dolly, now liberated from the Porter Wagoner show, struck out on her own and hit the road. She formed a family band and toured the US, including a showcase in New York. Dolly was broadening her horizons.
She was just happy to be doing it her way, having her own band, having her own show, making her own music. I mean, she was really, really, really craving that.
I think Dolly was always going to spread her wings more.
She's always been very ambitious. You can see that. She doesn't stop for one moment, you know.
I'm going to reclaim my life, and it's going to be my way, my Dolly way.
In 1976, she hired New York manager Sandy Gallin and went in search of a country pop crossover hit.
Here you come again, just when I'm about to get myself together. You waltz right in the door, just like you've done before, and you wrap my heart round your little finger.
This is the song that actually did it for Dolly. She got to #3 in the Billboard chart right across America. It was a song that did well right across the world. So she suddenly appeared to all these other people who had no interest in country music, but they knew a good song when they heard it.
All you gotta do is smile that smile, and there go all my defenses. Just leave it up to you, and in a little while, you're messing up my mind and filling up my senses. Here you come again.
There was a great deal of outcry against it in some of the conservative country music quarters. People said, oh, you're leaving country music behind. Dolly, to her credit, did not back down. She said, I am not leaving country music, I'm taking it with me.
And here I go.
Dolly was on a roll. She followed up this song with further US top 10s, Two Doors Down and Baby I'm Burning, both written by Dolly as well. And soon her appeal was not only trans-American, it was transatlantic.
Good evening, madam. Miss Dolly Parton.
That's right.
And what is the reason for your visit?
I'm a performer.
You're a performer. And what do you do?
I sing.
We did Dolly in London. You know, we did a special. And I remember everything about that. We took the cameras around all over London, all the different places, and just filmed everything we could just to show the people, show the places, and show all the points of interest we knew back home here in America that people would love, because a lot of people don't get to go to England, see the Buckingham Palace and all the things that, you know, that you take for granted, you know, there. But it was really a great time. We had a wonderful time doing the special. It was very popular here.
Hey, so how about coming down Covent Garden with us and give us a song?
Nah, I couldn't do that.
Oh, my, what a run song! What a run song! What a run song! Oh, my, what a run song! And what a run singer too! Oh,
The centrepiece of Dolly's London trip was a sold-out concert at the Dominion Theatre. And in true Dolly style, she made her entrance from a double-decker bus through a throng of adoring fans and marched into the theatre with a guard of honour from the Tower of London's very own Beefeaters.
Dolly Parton is the only person on the planet that could probably parachute out of a plane in a rice paddy in the jungle somewhere, and people would go, Dolly Parton.
No mistaking you, is there, Dolly?
Did he say so? He wasn't supposed to.
That was a wonderful time, and that was a very loved special. I don't finish songs every day, but there's not a day goes by that I don't write some sort of a title down, some sort of an idea, or work or see a song that I've started writing and maybe add a few more lines to it. But I love to have the time to just sit and write. But since I live on the move, I just write on the move too. I'll be riding down the road, and just like the song 9 to 5.
In 1980, Hollywood star Jane Fonda was developing a film about women's rights at work. She cast 3 women in the leading roles: herself, her favourite comedienne Lily Tomlin, and in a moment of inspiration, she approached the Queen of Country to complete the trio. And a legendary movie and theme song were born.
When that one starts, the minute they hear, just doing that, it's amazing. And the guy who produced it, Greg Perry, told me that he went and ran down a typewriter from the studio office and brought it in there and actually played it, and on the track. Cheek, 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 cheek. And then the cartridge would go all the way and the bell would ring, ding, and he'd reset it.
Tumble out of bed and I stumble to the kitchen, pour myself a cup of ambition and yawn and stretch and try to come to life. Jump in the shower and the blood starts pumping. Out on the streets, the traffic starts jumping with folks like me on the job from 9 to 5.
And that opening couplet, it's tumble out of bed, stumble in the kitchen, pour myself a cup of ambition. It's a beautiful piece of writing.
And she can literally come up with those couplets like that in real time. I mean, almost like a rapper freestyles, like Eminem can just...
9 to 5 for service and devotion. You would think that I would deserve a fair promotion. Want to move ahead, but the boss won't seem to let me. I swear sometimes that man is out to get me.
Jane Fonda had put the word out to some songwriters that they need a theme song. And to quote Greg, he said, and that's like waving a red flag in front of a bull to Dolly. What? I'm in this movie and you're not asking me to write the song?
It was my first movie, so I just wanted to see what all was going on. So I would go to the set every day, whether I was working or not, and just watch what was going on, because I'd already decided I was going to write the theme song. I couldn't just have my guitar interrupting people's dialogue and the set. So I would just watch, and I would just kind of, with my nails, I have these acrylic nails, and they sound like a typewriter to me, and it was all about secretaries. So I would just do little things. I would just write a line or two, like working 9 to 5. What a way to make a living. I just kind of get over in the corner, or if I tumble out of bed and stumble in the kitchen, and then the next day maybe I'd come up with another line or two. So yeah, I was just, I'm a working writer.
9 to 5, yeah, they got you where they want you. There's a better life, and you think about it, don't you? It's a
Dolly's contribution to 9 to 5 was a runaway success. The theme tune went to the top of the US charts, her first national #1. And she followed it with starring roles in a stream of hit movies.
It's a completely natural transition that Dolly Parton made into being an actor. She's already inhabiting the characters of the people that she sings about. So it's not a huge leap for her to go from that to being an actor. And boy, she did it well.
In the mid-80s, the country singer come pop star come movie star was flying. And at her peak, she joined forces with one of her musical soulmates to record an unforgettable duet.
I did a tour with her and Kenny. They had a real magic together on and off stage. That was so fun to watch. I felt like they were very competitive, in one sense, with who's headlining, who's really selling the tickets here and all that,
Hold me closer and I feel no pain. Every beat of my heart, we got something going on.
Well, I always had a great time with Kenny.
Tender love is blind.
And singing that song with Kenny was especially great.
All this love we feel needs no conversation. We're riding together, making love with each other, Islands in the stream, that is what we are. No one in between. How can we be wrong? Sail away with me to another world, and we rely on each other, from one lover to another.
I think the magic of that song was the song itself. That's a great song, and that melody is great. Our voices just blended perfect.
And the message is clear. This could be the year for the real thing.
Will you come? Maybe I will hurt you never. We start and end as one.
In love forever, we can ride it together.
Their chemistry was just so natural, and she would just almost kind of melt into him, and they picked at each other.
Excuse me, Kenny.
How can we be wrong? Sail away with me to another world, and we rely on each other, from one lover to another.
I like singers with expression, because I'm a very expressive singer, as you know. I mean, I feel it. I might as well just be, doing it on a movie. Everybody can sing.
Islands in the stream.
Islands in the stream, that is what we are. You know it. You heard it once. You can sing it.
How can we be wrong? Sail away with me to another world, and we rely on each other, from one lover to another.
Oh, what you say?
Sail away, sail away, sail away with me.
Musical collaboration has always been a big thing for Dolly. And the Rockstar album contains a nod to her celebrated 1987 trio recordings with Emmylou Harris and Linda Ronstadt.
Now I see how you really are. you're no good, you're no good, you're no good. Baby, you're no good. I'm gonna say it again. You're no good, you're no good, you're no good. Baby, you're no good.
When I did You're No Good, I thought, how can I do a rock album and not do a Linda Ronstadt song or something she made famous? Because I loved her and, of course, Emmylou. I thought, well, I got to have Emmylou sing on it. And Linda doesn't sing anymore. So I thought, well, who can I get to kind of fill in? And Sheryl Crow is a dear friend to me, dear friend to Emmy, and was a dear friend of Linda's. So I called on her to do the third part. And so I thought it turned out really good.
And you never will be. You're no good.
For Emmylou and Dolly,
No good.
it brought back fond memories of their first meeting in 1987.
When Linda and I first met, one of the first things we learned about each other that we told each other was that our favorite girl, quote, singer, was Dolly.
No, 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 him is to love, love, love him. Just to see him smile makes my life worthwhile. To know, know, know him is to love, love, love him, and I do.
It just turned out that we were able to meet at the studio where I was living and working at the time, Linda. And so we just sang a couple of songs. There were a few people in the room who everybody sort of were a bit gobsmacked. It was always about the music. It was always about the song. It was always what made the harmony shimmer.
And I do.
It has more to do, I think, with the emotion for me. People that have that same kind of feel, and you know, it's kind of heartfelt.
By the late 80s, Dolly had started multiple business ventures. And in 1987, Dolly opened her own theme park in the Smoky Mountains where she grew up.
Family is very important to her. Her roots, I mean, what she's done for that part of the country where she came from, she has literally lifted it up.
The theme park employs thousands from the local community, and Dolly's business ventures employ many members of her extended family.
You know, everything I do for my family, you know, for my brothers and sisters, nieces and nephews, and whatever I have. You know, when I'm gone, you know, I want them to be able to, you know, to live good.
I think that's the story of Dolly's life. She's aimed to do things that satisfy her and make her feel good. But as a byproduct, almost, they've done massive good for other people.
To use another phrase that we use in the country, she's as real as dirt. But she's the most extraordinary dirt.
Little sparrow, little sparrow.
By the new millennium, Dolly's place in an increasingly commercial world of music was a little unsure. In 2001, she made the bold move to go back to her bluegrass roots.
Little sparrow, little sparrow.
It's a forlorn type of sound when she, you know, little sparrow. It's got the little moan at the end, and, you know, that's from her mountain heritage.
Daddy always loved me singing this kind of music. He'd always say, you don't need to be singing with all them drums and them damn old electric guitars. He said, you need to sing where people can hear you. So he loved me singing these mountain songs.
Dolly can just make the hair on your arm stand up, just standing in a room and singing a cappella, you know.
A sparrow leaving you to never
I love Dolly's pure country stuff, the mountain stuff.
Little sparrow, little sparrow,
That's where I love to hear Dolly's voice.
oh, the sorrow never.
The bluegrass albums were a critical but not Dolly's biggest commercial success.
Back in the States with the new country music, it's very, very hard for some of the older artists to be played on the radio. But there's no way that I'm not going to be singing, because music is my first love.
She could still have a hit. I'm not saying that it's not possible, but that traditional sounding music hasn't really been viable in this country for 10 years.
I think everybody's career goes through peaks and troughs. Dolly's was probably in a bit of a trough at this time.
Inspiration would come from an unexpected corner, from the world of thrash metal.
In the mid-2000s, Dolly hired a friend of mine named Danny Nozell to come on board and help her with managerial duties, and found out about his history with Slipknot, the hard rock, alt rock scene, and because he's real quiet, unassuming guy. We had been sputtering around doing kind of, modest ticket sales and things in the States, and she was kind of being labeled as a heritage artist. And it was his idea to kind of roll the dice and take her overseas. And there were a lot of people here in Nashville on her former teams that were saying, you can't do this. You're going to bomb over there. You're not going to sell any tickets, and it's going to be an embarrassment.
When we go to Europe, it is amazing. The fans love us so much, and that is so touching to me.
He had talked her into wagering her own money. It was several $1 million. She had to put up to advance the dates out of her own pocket. But it was a blockbuster tour. I think we made Polestar. I think we beat out U2 and the Stones. And from then, he took her on back over there many times.
On the back of the European tour, she launched a successful new album with a poignant piece of advice that reconnected her with her fans.
For those of you that don't follow my career all that close and don't know that much about me personally, I'd like to kind of fill you in just a little bit.
She had hired me to produce an album that she was calling Backwoods Barbie. And I had been working on this little ditty at my house, and I had this idea for a song called Better Get to Living, and I thought it's just right. Dolly's telling these housewives and these people who are, it's a girl power song, but it's a, hey, we got to get to living, And it goes up.
It's really about people that get down on their luck and they kind of just wallow in their sorrow just a little too long. But there comes a time when we got to get on with it and get back to living.
People are always coming up to me and asking, Dolly, what's your secret?
Like I've got one.
Proving something of a chart comeback, Backwoods Barbie was also the first release on her own label, Dolly Records.
Well, I'm not the Dalai Lama, but I'll try to offer up a few words of advice. You better get to living, giving. Don't forget to throw in a little forgiving and love along the way.
Back on track, Dolly was approached to do her biggest gig yet.
We've been doing shows and we've been really selling out everywhere, and different people had tried to get me to do Glastonbury before. And I know that they love that rock and roll and that loud music, and they love to just hoop and holler and have fun and stand in the mud. And I just, sing songs about mom and daddy, and I thought, Lord, they're never going to be quiet enough, for me to go out there. And so I was a little apprehensive about the whole deal.
And then Danny, I'd see Danny in the hallways at the venue, and he'd say, I can't. Glastonbury's begging us to come. I don't think she's going to do it.
And everybody said, no, people love you over here. And I thought, yeah, well, that's one thing. But to go do a festival, that's known for where you just go to have fun. And I was a little nervous, I have to say. I went out on stage, and the second I walked out, just a tremendous roar. And every time I'd start to talk or tell something, everybody was quiet as they could be. They really listened to the stories, and then when I'd go into the songs, like Jolene or whatever, they'd go along with me.
The security guys had worked up a dance, like a choreographed dance to Jolene, and hear all the flags and everything. And I remember us all just kind of looking at each other, laughing, like, what are these kids doing here? You know, it's 3 o'clock on a Sunday. They should be going home.
We had a huge crowd.
Well, you don't want to quit now, do you? You know 9 to 5? Well, let's do a little bit of that one.
As soon as anybody hears that, you know, dump, 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 they're up.
Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. Getting by, it's all taking and no giving. They just use your mind, they never give you credit. It's enough to drive you crazy if you love it.
And it turned out to be one of the biggest things I've ever done. I grew up loving Elvis and Wild Man Jerry Lee, Chuck Berry, Little Richard. They all had a, you know, they all cast a spell on me.
In writing her new album, Dolly found herself both revisiting her past and setting herself new challenges.
But I have, through the years, I have covered a lot of rock songs, and I have recorded some pretty rocking songs throughout, like Two Doors Down and Baby I'm Burned, a lot of things like that. But I had just never done what I considered to be a true rock and roll album where it was all consistent with great rock songs, and just to really go for it and see if I could do it.
When the song We Are the Champions came up, I heard how the lyric resonates with her.
I've paid my dues, time after time. I've done my sentence,
As soon as she sang it,
but committed no crime.
yep, you're right, we will do this.
We are the champions, my friends, and we'll keep on fighting till the end.
I understood, I mean, she doesn't need to do a rock album, but in a way, there's something very sweet about it.
We are the champions, no time for losers, 'cause we are the champions of the world.
The first time I heard her, I'm getting chill bumps now. I was muddling around with it on my acoustic guitar in her kitchen, and she nailed it.
And there was another, more personal reason to make the album, much closer to home.
A lot of the songs I did on the rock album are favorites of my husband. My husband is a rock and roll person. That's his music, the harder the better. And so all of our married life, which has been a long time now, I've been hearing his rock and roll.
And he was always, had it on at the house and was always pointing out to her, you should do this song. You hear that? That's a great song.
There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven.
I used to, years ago, to take outside songs. I would do it in, with a country feel or a bluegrass feel. And my husband is a leadhead. He loves Led Zeppelin. And he said, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm going to cover Stairway to Heaven as the kind of bluegrass country, the kind of stuff I'm doing. He said, I wouldn't do that if I was you, because that's a classic. He said, I don't think anybody should be fooling with that song, because that was his favorite song. I did it anyway.
We recorded Stairway to Heaven on a bluegrass album in the early 2000s. So I played it to him
And so he said, after I played it, he said, "Are you sure that's Stairway to Heaven or Stairwell to Hell?" And of course, he was just joking. He said, "Oh, it's okay." But then when I thought, well, I have to redo this because I have to make up for my mistake where he was concerned. So I thought, well, I'm going to do it in its natural form.
At the end, she's singing like F sharps above middle C, full voice, just screaming it, you know.
So when I did it on the album, I thought it turned out really good. And so when I played that one for him, he said, "Well, now that's pretty good." So for him to say that's pretty good was like saying, "Yay, you go, girl."
And she's buying a stairway to heaven.
The list of characters on this album is like a who's who of classic rock. Steven Tyler, I remember taking her vocal to the studio that night with him, and he was just, you know, wow, she's singing her, you know what, off. A lot of the artists, Elton John, a lot of them commented to me about how authentic Dolly sounded. A lot of them have not heard her sing like that.
I chose songs in this album that I liked and that I thought would be suited for my voice. I wanted it to have emotion, I wanted it to have strength, so I was really challenging myself to really see what all I could do with my voice.
Selling shows out every night, have 'em dancing in the aisle. You'll be famous, you'll be a rock star. They say if you can dream it, you can have it, so I play.
And it's funny, Dolly comes in super early, usually 7 in the morning, and she will sing until 7 or 8 that evening.
We'd work long days, but I'm used to work and I like to work. And I'm just like my daddy in that respect. I mean, the work's never too hard, never too long if I've got a reason to be doing it. Well, my daddy was very special to me. And my daddy couldn't read and write, as smart as he was. He was kind of always embarrassed about that, but I love my daddy a lot. And I wanted to do something with Daddy. So I came up with that idea to put together that little imagination library where we give books to children from the time they're born once a month until they start school so they can learn to read, you know, and love books.
Dolly Parton decided in 1995 that she was going to send books out to children. She wants children to read, and she wants them through reading to open their minds to possibility in the world.
What's going on?
If you take away all her musical achievements, and she'd never sat down and wrote a song, the imagination library is one of the greatest legacies that a human could leave. And Dolly Parton did that.
Really and truly, I feel like Daddy helped me build that up to that point. And Daddy got to live long enough to see it doing really well, because I thought maybe it was just something for our county, maybe a couple of counties over. Then the next thing you know, it went all into Canada, now we're all over the world, and we've given away 222 million books.
I hope that people realize what Dolly has done.
Then I say, hey, yeah, yeah, hey, yeah, yeah. I say, hey, what's going on? Then I say, hey, yeah, yeah, hey, yeah, yeah. I say, hey, what's going on?
Daddy got to live long enough to see it doing great. And he got such a kick out of the kids calling me the book lady. And I could tell Daddy was so proud, you know, of that whole thing. And he knew I was proud of him and that I was proud that we had that thing between us. And so it was special.
At the end of the day, when all is said and done and we're all dust, what will endure is the songwriting.
She's made a real difference in the world.
I mean, all her different royalties go to different charities, you know, it's, she hardly keeps any of this.
Wow is right.
In a social media world where people are constantly smoke and mirrors and misinformation, Dolly Parton is real.
And she's proving yet again that you cannot second guess where Dolly is going to go next. She will do something totally unexpected.
She never gives up. She'll never give up. They'll have to hold her down one day and say, no, you can't do it anymore, that's it. And she'll say, yes, I can.
And there's more from Dolly tonight. She's back along with Kenny and friends performing their greatest hits at 25 past midnight. Before that, join her, Johnny Cash and loads more for some festive favourites in a very country music Christmas. Brand new next.